There was a crooked man, and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house.
Crooked House is the next novel of Agatha Christie's that I am reviewing. Sorry, I've been away for a while. Work's been really busy. It's just been kind of hectic lately. But I'm getting back to the blog and to these video reviews. And this is a great one to come back to. It's not a Poirot. It's not a Miss Marple. It's just a kind of a one-off. And I guess it would fall into that genre of Christie novels that that follow that take their title from a nursery rhyme. This one doesn't necessarily follow a nursery rhyme pattern, although you could say it does, but the murder itself doesn't. This was written 1948, published first in the U.S., and it involves 3 generations of a family all living together in a suburb of London. The Leonidas family, they are a Greek family, the grandfather having come over to England when he was a young man and made his fortune, and he lives in this house called Three Gables, which is the crooked house of the title, because it just doesn't look quite right. There's something wrong with it. It's beautiful, it's large, but the way it's been added onto kind of gives it this strange effect. The people who live in it are rather odd too. Now, the people who live in the Crooked House are rather odd too. First of all, we have kind of the patriarch of the family, Aristide Leonidas, and he is an elderly gentleman who is living in the house with his second wife, Brenda. Brenda is a young woman in her 20s who has obviously married Aristide for his money, but she makes it work. She makes him happy. Also living in the house are the 2 sons of Aristide. We've got Philip and we've got Roger. Philip kind of suffers from the fact that Roger seems to be Aristide's favorite son, and Roger has taken over the business and run it to the ground. He's horrible with money. His wife Clemency knows this, and she tries to help him. All she wants to do is get away. Whereas Philip fills his time looking at books, just reading all of the time, and his wife is an actress, a rather popular actress who enjoys making these dramatic scenes. Now, Philip and Magda have 3 children. They have Sophia, who works for the Foreign Office, and then they also have a son named Eustace and a daughter named Josephine. And Eustace is a smart kid, kind of at a temperamental teenage time of life. We also have Josephine, who's described as a changeling. She's a rather ugly child. She's very precocious. She's looking at what's going on around the house, and she pays attention to what's happening. Then we also have the narrator. Now, the story is narrated by Charles Hayward, and Charles was living in Cairo, and he met Sophia over there, and they've fallen in love. When he comes back and he wants to go and marry her, he can't, because Sophia tells him that her grandfather has been murdered. Aristide has been murdered with ursine poisoning. Basically it's eye drops, but someone put it in his insulin, so when he was injected with that, he died. And so Sophia wants this resolved before she's going to make any move about getting married. And it just so happens that Charles's father works for Scotland Yard, and along with an Inspector Taverner, they're all going to try and solve this crime. Charles is kind of our introduction into the plot. He is an interested party because he's in love with Sophia, who is also a suspect, and but he's also connected with the police, and because he's narrating the story, we're connected to him. Taverner gives him some good advice, and so does his father. He said, well, just go there and get people to talk, because people like to talk, and when they talk, they reveal the truth. And so he kind of insinuates himself inside of this house and gets to know what people are like. He, in particular, befriends young Josephine, and because she's got this habit of listening in at doors and finding things out, she's a good source of information for Charles. We also have in the house Mrs. de Havilland, who is a relative of the family. I believe she's related to Aristide's first wife, and kind of looks after the family. And then we also have a young man named Lawrence Brown, who is a tutor to Eustace and Josephine, and he's also having an affair with Brenda. So we've got a lot of interesting things happening. Now, this novel has a lot to do with inheritance. Not only does it have to do with an actual inheritance, there's a great deal of money at stake, and a will that was supposed to have been mailed to a bank goes missing. So we have that inheritance, but we do have another kind of inheritance, an inheritance of evil, and we've got 3 generations of family members here. So we get to see how this family plays out from generation to generation, how the sins of the fathers are passed down to the children and to future generations, and how evil manifests itself, how evil can turn within a family and get. We've got some of the most vulnerable people in this family who are murdered. We've got, first of all, Aristide, who, as far as everyone knows, was well loved by his family, was a grandfatherly character, ready to take care of his family financially. We also have Josephine, who is very nearly a victim. She's knocked on the head and has to go to the hospital and nearly does not regain consciousness. And then we also have Josephine's nanny, who accidentally drinks Josephine's cocoa and Josephine leaves it, and she dies of poisoning. So you've got a grandfatherly character, a nanny character, a child character. You've got a nursery room character, the stuff of warm fuzzies being picked off, and so there is something very crooked, something very wrong going on in this house, and Charles has to figure this out, not only so he can marry Sophia, but just for his own peace of mind and to bring resolution to this family who's in turmoil. The solution to the plot is very clever. I really enjoy this novel because it's quite different from other Christie novels. It's probably a little bit more loosely written, very domestic family sort of plot, but not as in depth with the characters as maybe things like novels like Taken at the Flood or Sad Cypress, but nevertheless a great novel. I give it a 4 out of 5.